Alright, I planned on starting off scaling Hiei, Mr. Three-Eyed Boss Man himself, losing but a single one-on-one match in the entirety of the series. And let's just say, I'll be happy to scale him, but I have to do it right, and so for that, I'm gonna go over what it means to be an S-class fighter in Yu Yu Hakusho first. Hiei will be the next video, but today, I'll be covering that Yu Yu Hakusho S-class power scaling. Now, right out the gate, I've always considered Sensui's 50% aura statement about destroying the Ningenkai to be an unbacked statement, with nothing to suggest he actually could. Granted, narratively, it made some sense, given no other fight takes place on Earth after. Genkai, while it's super vague, also somewhat hints at world destruction to Yusuke, but doesn't give any specifics. There's not like a, oh, you could destroy the planet in one shot, or over X amount of time. There's none of that. But then there's also simply the S-class hype, with just a single A-class being referred to as the gods that people pray and believe in. Hell, this is the class that King Inma is in after all. But let's cover the feats, the actual proof of the matter, and see what S-classes have to show. For this, I'll be starting with a basis of scaling. And as I've said before, no one other than Toguro highlights Yu Yu Hakusho scaling better. Toguro here is a high B class, and I mean, at full power, he's a high B class. That's at his 100% of 100% power, when he died to Yusuke's Mega Spirit Gun. Scaling wise, he was also a B class even as low as around 45%, and was one-shotting people no less. The reason for this is because the gap between each class is so immeasurably massive that 45% Toguro, for example, could have walked up to Suzaku and done literally anything he wanted. I mean, at 45%, Toguro could just lie there, take a nap, get his nice 8 hours in, and Suzaku and the rest could all just fire at him all day long, until they tired themselves out, and after his nice little rest, he could literally just kill them with a touch. I'm talking a touch of pure strength. This man is not hacks based. This is the difference of C class to lower B class, aka 45% Toguro. Now, I've covered this exact scaling before, but I'll cover it again. Again, 45% Toguro. So you think his 90% total power is 2 times stronger than his 45% total power? No, false, incorrect. That is not how Yu Yu Hakusho scales. Breaking it down, 80% Toguro can slice up Yusuke with just his aura. Let me show you the actual proof on the scaling here. The weakest thing that a person can attack with in Yu Yu Hakusho, 80% just his aura can cut up Yusuke. Yusuke, of course, fires off his strongest spirit gun shown at this time, carrying Toguro through the stadium, through the forest, and into a mountain, and all of this, it does literally nothing. Yusuke's punches literally tickle him. So the punches do nothing, his spirit gun does nothing, so now Yusuke needs to take off his spirit cuffs and go full power. With this, Yusuke now can really injure 80% Toguro, and he does so not with a spirit gun, nah. He does so with a punch, and then more of them. His jump in power is so high that now a punch is much greater than his past spirit gun. What level of jump in power is this? 2 times stronger? 3 times? More? How about this? Explain why Toguro then goes from 80% to 100%, vaping a quarter of the audience via that same aura. Again, the weakest thing that a Yu Yu Hakusho fighter can utilize. And now look, those same punches are blocked with his thumb for style points, since he's never not flexing. But even Yusuke's weakest and most basic spear gun, when he first got it, was 2 times stronger than his punches. So how about it now? Worse than blocking it with his thumb, he decides to yell at it. This is what a 10% power increase for B class is, as his base 100% is at most only half his real true power. Think like Final Form Frieza doing his full power buff form in that final form. It's sort of like that. And Toguro is only pure and raw power. This is perfect for scaling. It also highlights the scaling in just the fact that Yusuke, who isn't pure raw power, can physically match and overcome him at different points, speed and strength wise, durability wise, all of that, purely on his overall power increasing. I mean, the boy can literally knock uncuffed Yusuke around with just the air pressure of his finger flicks. And note, something extremely important here, alright? This is all high AP, low DC feats. Feats that show high levels of damage done to things they hit or kill, with very low AoE to such a degree that not much is destroyed. I leave it on this last Toguro feat here, because this will come back later too. The distance this man can punch his brother in absolute, I mean, we're talking 10% max of his power is insane. Note that distance, that's an island and a half at maybe 10% of his real power. Now, let's talk a little bit about A classes. We don't know much about them besides a statement about them being like gods of religions, that Yoko and Hiei were A class before the series, and that King Inma is A class. With this, we don't have too many feats, but look at these. The Hyuga country is pretty massive, alright? It is shown to be a country multiple times. If you understand the size of Demon World, how massive the actual layers are, it also scales to small country size. It makes sense. Small country is where I have it. It floats way above many cloud heights, far, far above the mountains of Demon World. And Hiei, as a literal newborn, survived falling from that height. And this actually makes sense. It makes sense. Alright, so let's look at the durability of a mid A class fighter. Because now we're getting into the S classes, since Sensui is our prime example of the absolute weakest S class in the series. Now, this man spent quite a while fighting Kuwabara, Hiei, and Yoko Kurama, and it's shown that they can take hits from him, repeated, full contact, no holding back hits, and that it's like fighting a boss battle while over leveled to Sensui, because it's like the boss has so much HP, and you're just gonna whittle it down, just turn after turn, knowing it can't actually ever overcome you, and you're just waiting to win. A very important thing here is that I said they took multiple full contact punches from him. Let's jump to Sensui. Once again, the weakest S-class in the entire series. Great villain though. Sensui has the single best shown feat in that it doesn't require scaling. It's the feat itself. His level of power is it's just for the world to see. Look at the massive size of these Okumen trees. Really look at them. Look at how they tower over the Demon World mountains. I could go into the fact that there's proof of Demon World being much more durable, not just much bigger, but much more durable, everything there, than the normal human world. But in versus battles, a lot of times the number 5 times more durable is used for a very specific reason. Given all of Ryzen's friends could flex their aura to such a degree and not cause massive earthquakes and destroy things, given it is just their aura. But I don't need that. I don't need to go there because that's such a weird multiplier. We know it's more durable. Maybe I could go 2 times more durable, which would that multiplier alone would make Yu Hakusho just that much stronger, sure. But I'm not going to be using it. So if you want to utilize it for any understanding of Yu Hakusho power, go for it. I actually support at least hyper low balling like I do, a 2 times increase. But everything I'm saying here does not factor this in at all on any durability increase. Now, the size of those Okumen trees compared to the Demon World mountains. Here's some zoomed in shots of what they look like too. I want to also say you can see Togashi doesn't care to put in a lot of detail if he doesn't have to. And yeah, the Okumen trees from before, These are Okumen trees. These are what they look like once he actually adds in detail to them. Now, everyone, are you ready to consider point of view? Things that are closer to you appear bigger, of course. Now tell me, how many of those Okumen trees would fit inside Beheaded Hill? A specific landmark of Demon World. It's not just another plateau that you would see in the background. I lowball everything, and I have it at around 200 plus of these Okumen trees. We're talking volume here. It'd be 200 plus of them to fill the mass of Beheaded Hill, and Sensui busts it. In fact, it's turned to dust. He's actually hit it so hard, he pulverized it. This isn't simply fragmentation or simple just normal destruction. And Sensui does this with nothing but the air pressure of an uppercut. This is not the force of his actual punches. So let's get this straight. Look, I don't actually know how much more force it would take for the air pressure of something to match the original full contact force of the same thing. I don't. But consider this, alright? And I've given examples before. Here's some more. If someone hit you with enough force to send you to the moon, how many times more force would they have to use to have literally just the air pressure alone, not just send you to the moon, but send you there with the same amount of force as the other full contact punch did? Like, as I've said before, stand next to a car going 100 miles per hour and feel the air pressure. What would the force difference be like if instead the full mass of that car hit you instead? What's more, the further away you are, the weaker the air pressure would be. And he's quite far from Beheaded Hill. So look, I consider 1,000 times to be an extreme low ball, and it's what I use. Because I'm not so keen on saying it's 10,000 times more potent, the actual physical, like full contact hit compared to the air pressure. So if it's within the thousands range, 1,000 is as low as I can take it. Extreme low ball. That's what I'm using. And to make Beheaded Hill an easy low ball number, it shows, feet-wise, to be around the size of 1,000 mountains. For whatever reason, there are people who look at just the final scan of it already pulverized and actually take it to be like Walmart level size for whatever reason. Like, it's the only scan where literally all the rest of the mass is dust and is at an angled shot such that the Okumen trees aren't even showing anymore. This is massive downplay, which is just as bad as overhyping things. Don't bother listening to such idiocy, please. The scaling in size is extremely obvious. Here's another thing though, going forward, also worth noting, super low S-class aura. Just the aura clashing would kill the 3 A classes, Hiei, Kurama, Kuwabara. But wait, they were taking Sensui's full contact punches before. Now they died to just an aura clash? I am scaling this series after all. Scaling matters. Sensui was not in his full power mode fighting them. That is his offensive mode. He didn't do that until he fought Yusuke again. This does, in fact, mean they do not, as A classes, they do not scale to tanking even just the air pressure of offensive armor Sensui's punches. They can't even tank his aura. But it's also important to remember that they weren't taking air pressure attacks. His full contact punches from before would still scale decently well into his full power form. With this, his offensive armor is showing to be around a 10 to 12% increase in his power, given how Yu Yu Hakusho scales. And look, that 10 to 12% is just on a hyper lowball assumption that it falls within the same rating as B class scaling, even though the massive jump from class to class is so massive that even the smaller and smaller increases would accumulate into more and more power. The gaps from, for example, the gap of a normal human to Sensui is less than Sensui to S+ class people. So we're just using B class scaling here. All right. That's a 10 to 12% increase. And that's just how the scaling is. That's how strong the scaling gets. And to harp on the class power differences, it's not only proven, but also the SDF, who almost power scale for us, it's part of what they do. They almost are like built-in scanners. They tell us that Yusuke resurrecting as a low S class is... Now, there are different scans for this. You have them saying that he's many orders of magnitudes stronger than he was. There's also that he's infinitely stronger than anything they ever felt. Infinitely, that gets to universal bullcrap. But many orders of magnitudes is proven. This isn't realistically, that 10 to 12% increase is actually lower. That's how the jump from defensive armor Sensui to offensive armor, for him to scale to such a degree, actually takes less of a percent increase in his power to pull off those feats. But 10 to 12% hyper low ball, once again, just to be fair. Now, consider that high B class Toguro air pressure that we never really got to see him use, because I'm talking about him at his absolute full power. Just think of what it would be compared to his other feats, and compare it to that super low S class Sensui air pressure. Are you getting the idea of the difference in scaling? It's insane. Alright, so here's some speed. Once again, with the weakest of the weak for S class, we have resurrected Yusuke, because he scales. I mean, he was actually primed to lose against Sensui if Ryzen didn't possess him. He covered a distance much further than even over the horizon of the Demon World layer, given his most direct path to everyone required him moving at a downward angle. And in literally the very next panel, he's next to everyone. I want to make this clear. This was Pooh moving. If you want to say this doesn't scale to Yusuke, you're crazy. Not only does Yusuke basically show in past a later feat rather that I'll have up here later, you'll see it where he clears a horizon extremely fast and Pooh's just keeping up. But Pooh is directly, like literally his other half, spiritually and kind of stat wise too. He can handle taking just endless blows from this SDF, all A classes, and no damage whatsoever. Now, this feat is insane. Also note in this feat, you can even see the Okumin trees, plural, between the distance of them. And again, they themselves are massive. Given this, and not even going into them traveling through hyperspace, which could be its own other feat, but it's too up in the air, so kind of like the durability for Demon World, this is just yet, take this as an extra low ball again. The feat I'm showing you though, is a direct feat of Mach 7,507 and some change. Closing in on relativistic speeds, assuming the single panel is 1 second, and that the Demon World distance traveled there is only 1,600 miles for a guaranteed low ball, and I mean mega low ball. As the Okumin trees scale to the size of the later half of the Demon World tournament battlefields in size. And you know what? I'm gonna steal a point from Atari HMB because he's absolutely right. The size of planes are absolutely massive, with the Great Plains within Canada and the United States being around 502,000 square miles big, not even close to the largest plains here on Earth. 502,000 square miles. And here I am using 1,600 miles for the feat. Don't ever come at me for being unfair or for overhyping a series. And to be fair, it wouldn't take much to argue FTL plus speeds off of this. In fact, it's rather likely, but would be too hard for me to use in a versus debate, and so again, mega lowball. Why am I lowballing so much? You might wonder. Because, as I just said, and I agree with it, hyper downplaying is just as bad as overhyping. It's because Yu Hakusho is one of the most slept on series. I mean, crazily so. And lowballing at least at least if anything else, I care about accuracy so much, you know that what the numbers I'm giving you are minimum correct. They might be higher, but everything I'm saying has feats backing them, proven. And they must be at least what I'm saying. Thus, the mega lowballs here, because it's so much stronger than almost any site gives them credit for. People really misunderstand Yu Yu Hakusho. We then have Yusuke and Sensui moving past the horizon to destroy yet another rock formation very quickly, and once more Yusuke covers over the horizon very quickly after following his demon gun, beating Pooh there. Alright, so I think that's enough for the absolute lowest S classes. Quick note, all those other feats of charging past the horizon very quickly makes the horizon thing rather consistent, by the way. There's your absolute lowest S classes. So now I'm gonna finish with high S class feats. Here you'll see the power levels of the second in command for each king, and you can tell that they are of course not only much more powerful than Sensui, which I'll cover even more in depth later, but compared to the three kings are absolutely pitiful. Makuro's second, Kirin, at least has some power, around half of Yoko's full power, but even he's beat by all of the Dark Tournament friends of Yusuke and Kurama, each at around 100,000 plus PL. It should be noted that even base Kurama at the end would be stronger than Sensui, and his PL is as low as only 1,902 for context. That's S-Class PL. Yusuke by the end, he's nearing at least 200,000 PL, and I'm not using this number because of the anime. I'm not using anime at all. I'm sticking to mangas. That is what's canon. Yoko is around 152,000 PL, an 80 times multiplier in power to base Kurama. 80 times in PL, this isn't like, therefore 80 times a feat. Remember, the scaling even just Toguro, even percentages, is massive scaling. You plug in and do the rest because this isn't a Yoko scaling video. Just remember that. It's not a 2 times increase going from 45% to grow to 90%. Yoko's 80 times increase is not what it seems. Okay, and each person, furthermore, each person that all of them lost to, Hiei, Yoko, and Yusuke, that they lost to, is noted. And it shows that Yoko lost to one of Raizen's friends, and him telling the others that he was exhausted and unsure how he beat Shigure, the previous weakest S-Class of Makuro's 77 S-Class army. And this is because all the major players leveled the hell up. Simple as that. Even if you want to say Kirin and Hokushin, for whatever reason, along with others, didn't level up, Yusuke and obviously Hiei would still easily destroy Shigure. Couple this with 200,000 PL being pretty lenient and yet a nice easy number, voila. So there you go. With that out of the way, we now have Yusuke guaranteed minimum 200,000 plus PL, and we also have him knocking 40 plus minimum A class, but realistically they're all S class fighters, given none of them like explode on touch to Yusuke's punches all the way into space. Consider the size once more of where they're fighting and get a good idea on how far they were punched. Do I even need, by the way, to show what it looks like when high S classes release their aura at this point? And when I say high S class, note that Yusuke is only around 200,000 PL. Again, the kings are literally in the millions. And unlike the anime, here's a big one. Yomi could kill Yusuke, Kurama, and the 6 other 100,000 plus PL fighters single-handedly with but a third of his power. The main cast isn't even remotely close to the strongest in the series. Hiei, Yusuke, Kurama, holy crap. That's not fighting, that's not taking on Yu Yu Hakusho's strongest. Not even close. Going from there though, that about wraps it up for S-Class scaling. sorry, that's where I'm gonna leave it. Going forward, I can do individual characters. Oh, wait, actually, you know what? Were you wondering what level of AP Sensui's full contact punch scales to? AP here, not talking DC. Let's just say Sensui was almost right, and I was wrong. Sensui has nothing to show feat-wise to suggest destroying the world with 50% of his powering up and his aura. But yeah, Yu Hakusho is planetary, by Sensui alone. It is the weakest S-class of them all. Planetary. Small planetary, I should say. Give it up for Yu Hakusho. I was downplaying the series more than I thought. I was one of those dirty freaking downplayers too much, just because I hadn't gotten directly into the scaling for the series myself. I just knew that it was always so lowballed, like not even lowballed, just like purposely lowballed almost on different sites. It's crazy, like misunderstood. I don't know. It seems easy enough, but holy crap. My mistake. Mr. Hazama. Yeah. You're right. You had a good feeling. Yu Hakusho's planetary. And that's just Sensui at small planetary, so go up from there. Again, I can do separate characters later. Of which, next up will be Hiei scaling. Party Hopper thinks I would love to again start with Hiei. Hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe for more great content. Ciao.